Amirah, good to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Hi, thank you for having me.
This is exciting. We're talking about high potential on ABC, and people are going to be able to see it soon. I mean, every audition's different, right? Or every offer to kind of be a new character is different. What was this one like? Was this kind of just a standard? You audition, you way back. Like, what was that experience like for you with this one?
I mean, yeah, it was kind of just like the regular standard thing. I auditioned for it. I did a self-tape for it, and then they used my self-tape to send to like the directors and the producers as like my callback,
Yep.
kind of. And then maybe a month after I auditioned, a month and a half maybe, I got the call that I was the one that they wanted to book for Ava, and I was in tears. I was so excited.
It's really funny too because like trailers because it's coming on ABC pretty soon, and like Kaitlin Olsen, and in a role, very interesting role, right? Like where we maybe haven't seen Kaitlin Olsen in a role like this before. What was that
Yeah.
script to screen journey like for you? Like reading what was happening with your character, Caitlin's character, and then seeing it kind of come to life. I'm curious about that specifically.
Yeah, I absolutely love the script. The writers are so incredible, and they're very collaborative with all of us. They like ask us our opinions on different storylines and what we think our characters would kind of go through. But I mean, the dynamic between my character and Caitlin's character is very special. And kind of reading that over and then bringing it to life was very exciting and very special. And I think that it's something that the audience will really be able to like resonate with and relate to.
There's a lot of elements at play with a show like this. Is there one that kind of stands out? Do you like the family component? Do you like the comedy component? Like, what do you like the most about High Potential when you're reading it and then actually going and filming it? Is there an element that kind of stands out?
Yeah, personally, I love the family aspect of it. I think it's very heartwarming and something that will reach a lot of different people because, we kind of see that my character is kind of struggling to find her place in her own family. And then she has these little siblings and then her stepdad and her mom. And so it's a very chaotic dynamic, but I think it is a very like realistic dynamic.
So much happens before you go to camera on a show like High Potential. There's all the
Yeah.
conversations, there's the table reads, you're figuring everything out. You've never played this character before, so you're kind of just thinking about everything and then go and filming it. So in a lot of ways, Amira, from a storytelling acting perspective, you can see it as two journeys, right? Before filming the show and after filming
Yeah.
the show, or do you see it as one big journey with multiple steps? I'm curious about that.
Ooh, I think well, we filmed the pilot a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
So I think the transition from filming the pilot and then going into the second episode was kind of the biggest journey because we were coming back a year later after the strikes, after everything that was kind of happening in the industry. And I had to kind of step back into this character and kind of refigure out, like rediscover her and redesign who she was in a way.
Yeah.
So that I could like do it justice. But so I feel like that was kind of like where the journey happened of like figuring out the character again. But then once we kind of got into the groove of things, it was like super easy and like felt smooth sailing.
It's all storytelling at the end of the day, different characters, different genres. I'm just curious for you as an actor and storyteller, how separate past journeys are compared to something like High Potential. Like, do you bring things mindset wise, preparation from something like Shameless to something like High Potential, or are they completely separate once you wrap them?
I mean, I think that the two characters are very different, but I
Yes.
will say that the emotional aspect that I had from Shameless and kind of learning how to do that at a young age has helped me now because that's kind of what I have to do on High Potential as well, just in a different way. So learning how to do that on Shameless and then bringing the emotional intensity to High Potential has really worked out.
I asked you about kind of the journeys, right? And so much happens before we go to camera. And there's that kind of journey of a show getting out there to the world, disseminated, is an interesting journey with many waves. And like, this is a wave right now, doing press, talking about what you worked on and everything. You've been on a lot of shows before where you do, or and movies where like you do that thing where like you film it, you wrap, it's out, then you talk about it at all. Is it still a crazy weird feeling though for you to like have something that you worked on and then at the snap of the fingers, then a certain day it's like out of your hands, right? It's in the world hands. It's like a crazy surreal feeling in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it honestly, it still doesn't feel real to me. I'm sure it will once I like it's out and I'm like seeing it on TV, but even like seeing the trailers and stuff for it and like the commercials, I'm like, wow, like that's like I filmed that. Like that's like me. Like this is kind of crazy to see.
When you work on a show like High Potential, and I love that you say, shooting the pilot and then like it's so quick and then episodes kind of be churned out and people see them week to week. There,
Yeah.
it's a big machine, right? There's so many moving parts, the cast and the crew and everything. When you look at everything and you're on that show, obviously acting is something you're focusing on. But do you ever think about going behind the camera and directing, producing, writing, or is acting something you're mainly focusing on right now? But like maybe when you see everything, you're like, wow, like I want to do that one day.
Yeah, I do think about it a lot actually when we kind of before we start filming when they're kind of setting up all the shots and like the director for that episode is talking to me and kind of telling me what they're envisioning for this certain scene. That makes me think of like, oh, like this would be very cool to do one day. And I love seeing how the directors and the writers' vision really like comes to life. I think it's a really cool thing. So it'd definitely be something I would be interested in a couple years. Yeah.
And I can't wait for people to check out, High Potential on ABC. It's gonna be great. Last quick question before we wrap up: whether you've been on a set one time or thousands of times, because, like you said, different characters, different worlds, you're always gonna learn something new, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
what were some learning experiences for you from like an acting storyteller perspective on High Potential that you'll take for future projects specifically that maybe is like specifically something you learned on High Potential? I know a lot of learning experiences are very like similar in times, but anything like tailored to High Potential you can share learning experience wise.
I think I most of my scenes are always with Kaitlin, and she is someone who is incredible, and it's like a master class working with her. So every day I'm on set with her, I really think I'm learning something new. But she does this cool thing where she has a lot of lines in this show. She has like monologues and monologues, and she kind of knows if she messes up exactly where to go back from like editing wise so that way it can be cut a certain way, and it's something I've noticed over like working with her on this show, and I'm like, wow, that's very cool, and I'm definitely going to take that with me as I work on High Potential and other things as well.
That's awesome. I love that. This is my favorite thing about Pop Tart. I love the behind the scenes because like these are things that when you're on set, you can't think about a lot of these things right away, right? Like it's
Yeah.
happening. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Actually, I lied. I said that was the last question. It's not the last question.
That's okay.
There's
Okay.
so much. You made me think of those. That was such a good answer. It inspired me for another one. I'm wondering because you're talking about being in the moment as an actor, right? Your example of Kaitlin, like with the line, that's like being in the moment. So I
Yeah.
feel like the answer to this question is probably no, or like you try not to. But it's like this is a show that has a lot. Like it's funny. There's like a mystery component to it. People are looking at it. Are you ever conscious of the audience member watching High Potential while you're making it, or is that something that happens a little bit after you wrap specifically?
Honestly, I'm not like
Okay.
surprised. I'm
Well, you're
not. We're
not. I
never.
don't think you're supposed to, right? Like you're supposed to be in the
No, I
moment.
don't
That's what it
really.
reminded me of. Yeah.
Yeah, it just as soon as like they say action, it's kind of just like everyone's in the scene and we're all, working together trying to make something like incredible. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking about is how I can do my best job at that particular time. But yeah, I don't really think about the audience until like after the fact, like after I finish like that for the day, I'm like, ooh, I think people like this or will like this. Like
Well,
then I
there
start
might be
thinking,
that like very rare kind of like crafty moment or like lunch moment or base camp moment where it's like, oh, people are really gonna love that scene. But like,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think that's what we're talking about.
yeah.
Like it could happen, but ABC's High Potential, they're gonna be able to check that out. Amirah, so good chatting with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Your Instagram account, if people want to keep up to date with everything, that's the best way for updates and everything, right? Is it just your name?
Yes, it's the Amirah J.
Awesome. Well, this has been Pop Turner. YouTube.com/Pop Turner. Previous episodes, you're going to be able to catch Amirah J in High Potential on ABC. Till next time, this is Amirah and Beat Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.